Welcome to rSlash relationships, where a husband tries to get his wife R-worded. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaway Went Wrong. Me and my husband have been together about 15 years. We have a good love life, but it was starting to get a bit stale, so we had a talk on how to spice it up and settled on a couple of threesomes, one with another woman and one with another man. He said that I pick the woman and he picks the man. I agreed. He likes small, petite women, although I'm 5'8" and I have big boobs. So I chose a small, dainty woman whom he instantly loved. We had a great time and even arranged for her to come back the following Saturday. And I even arranged a surprise for the end of this month for him with her and 2 of her friends to join us. So that way, he'll have 4 women to himself. Anyway, on to the guy that he chose for me. He knows that I'm not into bodybuilder types. He chose a 6'5", 280-pound giant of a man who had muscles on top of muscles. We started and it was great fun. My husband finished first and said that he was going to get a drink and go have a smoke, so I said okay and me and this guy carried on. After about 20 minutes, the other guy finished and I realized my husband hadn't come back. I went downstairs and his car was gone. The big guy followed me downstairs and asked where my husband was, and I said that I didn't know. Then he grabbed me and said, "That means we can go again," and started trying to kiss me. I said no, the moment's gone. He literally picked me up and carried me upstairs. I was like a rag doll to him. I said no again when we got to the top of the stairs, and he was laughing and telling me how much I loved it, and he knows that I want more. This carried on for about 5 more minutes, and I was scared. He was big and strong, and I knew that I couldn't fight him off. He said that my husband promised him a night of intercourse, and he'd only had an hour or so he wanted more. I said no and asked him to leave. He then said that he would leave, but only if I performed a certain act first. I said no. The conversation went backwards and forwards for a few minutes, and he started walking towards me, and I got scared and agreed to do something if we could do it downstairs, and he left afterwards. He said yes. Once he left, I tried calling my husband, but he wouldn't answer me. I rang his friends and family, but none of them answered. I sat up all night scared, and eventually he came home at 6 a.m. I went off on him and told him what had happened and asked him where he went. He said that he got some post-nut clarity and left before he ruined anything. I said some choice words about him and how he left me alone with a man who could snap me like a twig. And then I told him what the man made me do before he left, and he just said, "Well, you'd already done everything with him. Why not just do it again?" I saw red and stormed out. Later on, when I spoke to him, he asked me why I was allowed to get insecure, but he's not. I asked him, when did I get insecure? And he said the first time that we had a threesome with that girl, I left for 20 minutes. But I left to wash my hair and get some more drinks for us, and I even said, "You two carry on, I'll be back soon." And then I joined back in once I came back. Plus, like I said, I had done that again since, and I told him what I'd arranged for the end of the month. It's been a week, and he still doesn't think that he did anything wrong or left me in a dangerous position. I told him that I want to call the police, and he said that's stupid, that you can't call the police on a man when we specifically invited him for intercourse. He thinks that I'm overreacting, but I think I'm underreacting. I feel like I want to leave my husband and report this other guy, but I think I should give it some time to see if I calm down. Then OP posted an update. So first off, the threesomes were his idea. I suggested BDSM. We had quite a few threesomes with 2 guys with his friends in the first couple of years, which he never had a problem with or walked away from. After we had the 2 threesomes with Sabrina, I told him that if he didn't want to have a male-male-female threesome, I was fine with that and was more than happy having regular ones with Sabrina. He said no, he wants 2 guy threesomes. So anyways, I left the day that I made the post. It dawned on me that I needed to. I actually went to Sabrina's house for the night and got drunk with her because she's the only person I could think of whom my husband wouldn't know how to contact her or find her. I booked an Airbnb for the next week miles away, and while there, my friend, who's a leasing agent, sorted out a flat for me that I could move into pretty quickly. I transferred the deposit and first month's rent over, and when I was back, I signed the contract and moved in sleeping on an airbed and having nothing there for a few days, but now it's nice and cozy. I left my husband a note saying that I want a divorce and not to contact me. He hasn't really contacted me apart from asking me details about the house. I haven't spoken to a lawyer yet because paying for a flat has left me a bit poor. I've seen my husband drive past me once in the car while I was on the bus, and I'll be honest, I didn't feel anything. No love, no anger, no hatred, just emptiness. Wow, you guys have been married for 15 years and then you just divorce, walk away like that's that, nothing to it? It almost makes me wonder if the husband intentionally wanted to traumatize her or to act out some fantasy he had that he's never been able to, or maybe even to intentionally punish her and make her suffer as a last blow before the divorce, because it kind of sounds like he was planning on leaving this relationship anyways. In any event, your husband is a douchebag, and that other guy is clearly an R-wordist. Our next Reddit post is from Meredith. I'm a 25-year-old guy and my girlfriend is 29. A few days ago, my girlfriend suggested that we should have a threesome with another girl. Knowing her, I disagreed at first. She kept on insisting, so I gave in to the idea. We started talking about how we were going to get it done. A few hours later, she blocked me and wasn't responding to my calls. Then, when I finally reached her, she was crying. She seemed broken. She told me that I didn't deny her strong enough. She told me that if I had ever insisted on having a threesome with another guy, she would have denied it. She was mad, and we broke up because I didn't deny her strongly enough. Basically, I feel as if she set up a trap and is now giving me a hard time for it. I feel like I'm being manipulated. Reddit, help me out here. OP, these types of relationship games are exhausting and dumb. I can kind of tolerate it if the girl is, 16 years old, but she's 29. She did you a favor by dumping you. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaway Necessary. I'm a 31-year-old woman and my husband is 32. He's been killing my houseplants with bleach. I have many houseplants, and even some that were quite expensive and were gifts from my sister. Within the last 6 months, at least a third of my plants have died. I've had houseplants my whole life due to my late mother's own love of houseplants, and I know a lot about plants. The death of the plants didn't seem related to lack of light, or inconsistent watering, or lack of nutrients, or even root rot. They just died very suddenly. I tried to not let it upset me too much because plants die and it wasn't any of the expensive ones. Until now. My sister gave me a 5-leaf Monstera albo-rooted plant for my birthday 2 months ago. It was beautiful. This morning, I was crying pretty hard about it as I unpotted it, and I took a look at the roots, and I was looking hard at the plant and its roots to see if its death was pest-related, and that's when I noticed a smell. I sniffed my potting mix, and I smelled bleach. The only other adult person in my home with unlimited and unobserved access to my plants is my husband. I wasn't able to talk to him for several hours, but when I could speak to him, I very calmly but very directly asked if he had done something to my plants. He denied it at first. I said that I smelled bleach in the potting mix of the albo my sister had given me, and that the only other person that could have put it there was him, and he caved. He said that he was putting small amounts of bleach into the fertilizer water jugs that I prepare. I started crying. I asked him, why? Why would you do this? You know I love these plants. Why would you destroy them? He didn't really answer, nor did he really apologize. The trust I had in him is absolutely gone. I think maybe counseling can help us, but he's the one who did this. But I'm the one that would have to set up the counseling. The angry part of me just wants to be done with this relationship. I know that might seem overboard as we're married and share a child, but I feel that I'm not safe around my husband. Then OP posted an update where she basically decided to sleep in a guest room, and during a text conversation, his exact words to her were that I deserve to be knocked down a peg. After the text communication, I went home from work early and I entered his office. I usually respect his space absolutely. I don't even go in there to grab dirty dishes. I don't know what I was looking for, but the hundreds of comments saying that he was working up to something worse or already was doing something else really worried me. So I went in there and I found a drawer full of my daughter's dolls and dollhouse furniture and little toys. I bought her that dollhouse for her 4th birthday last year and she loved it. She takes such good care of her toys. but something always ends up missing, and it's always my husband who notices. He lectures her about keeping track of her things, and how he won't let her play with her dollhouse if she keeps losing things. He keeps going into her till she starts to sob. Whenever I hear this, I always step in and ask him to go take a break. I assumed that he was losing his cool. I've told him this is not how to deal with a kid, and he says that he just wants her to grow up responsible. But now I see that it's some weird scheme, or a setup or something. He would steal her toys and stash them away and then point out they were gone so he could berate our daughter till she cried. My sister and her husband's dad came over this afternoon, and they've changed the locks to the house. I've texted him to tell him that he isn't coming back, and that he can come on Saturday morning to grab his essential things, but that my brother-in-law and another man would be there to watch. Then, 6 months later, OP posted an update. My husband, the man I thought I knew, has changed so much that I think of it like him ripping off a mask. He's sworn at me, screamed at me, pushed me to the ground twice, and kicked me in the face. Our entire marriage, I was never ever afraid of physical violence from this man. The police have gotten involved. Divorce is in progress. After an initial period of intense anger, my husband seemingly stopped caring at all, though. He said that he doesn't want any custody, and he wants to give up his parental rights of our daughter. He doesn't even see her. In the last month, I've heard that he actually has a new girlfriend. His parents still talk to me. I'm on good terms with his mom. Also, a friend of my husband's who's been friends with him since college reached out to me to ask what's going on. We texted. He says that my husband ghosted that entire group of friends after someone in the group called him out for some sort of a-hole behavior. One positive thing that's also sad is that my daughter is bright and wonderful. There's been such a profound change to her behavior since her dad has been gone. She's happy and silly and joyful. I guess there's been a change in both her and my behavior. I think of it like the frog in the boiling pot. I was sitting there boiling to my death and never realized. We lived in a house of walking on eggshells. If my husband was upset, he would infect the house with hostility. I'm not sure if I can describe it. I was constantly on guard and never able to relax. I wasn't afraid of physical violence though, so I don't want to describe it as something more serious than it was. Thank you all for making me realize that I was in a boiling pot. Yo, this is super creepy. To think that you could trust someone completely your entire life and then they just turn out to be a psychopath, just like that. Kind of makes me wonder if this guy wasn't only poisoning the houseplants. Maybe he was also poisoning his wife and daughter. I mean, it's hard to say. Our next Reddit post is from Stiff Kitten. My husband's fake illness is ruining our lives. I'm a 35-year-old woman and my husband is 31. We've been together for 10 years, married for 6. He has OCD, and for the last 8 months or so, he's completely convinced himself that he has ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease. You know, what Stephen Hawking had. He's spent thousands of dollars on emergency room visits, seen multiple doctors, and a neurologist who have all said that he doesn't have it. He doesn't have any symptoms of ALS, but it's all he talks about, all he thinks about, all day, every day for the last 8 months. He goes to therapy once a week, and he's been on medication for his OCD since he was like 8 years old. He recently switched to a new medication, which seemed like it was helping, but now he's back to the same. I try to act normal, to keep our home life happy and functioning for our 2 kids, who are 14 and 4. But he brings a black cloud over everything. Tonight, we were out to a casual dinner, and he just wasn't talking to me. He was on his phone and just seemed so angry and dismissive of me every time I tried to start a conversation. I finally asked him, "Do you just not like me anymore?" He said that he does like me, but he hates being alive and hates everything in life. He says that he hates even trying to talk to me because all he wants to talk about is ALS, and he knows that I'm tired of hearing about it and having the same conversation about it. He said that nothing in life brings him joy except our son, but that thinking of our son makes him sad because he knows he's going to be dead in a year due to ALS. I didn't really know how to reply to that. I've been living with him through this and through his OCD, but I just don't know if I can do it anymore. I don't know if this marriage is even worth saving because at this point, I feel like I've lost all love for him. And he's not even the same person that he was 8 months ago. I keep hoping that I'll snap out of it, but even then, I don't know if I can ever go back to how we were before. And it wasn't all that great to begin with anyways. So my question is, do I keep trying to stick this out and help him through this, or do I focus on myself and my kids? Hold on, are we just gonna breeze past the part where you have 2 kids, but he says the only thing that gives him joy in life is his son? What about the other kid? Man, I don't know, OP. Between his OCD and what are clearly delusions, it sounds like he might actually need to be committed to get serious psychiatric help. Because even though he isn't suffering from ALS, he's clearly suffering from something. Whatever this is, it is completely destroying his life. That was rSlash-relationships, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.